So, hi everybody. This is a video entitled How to Fix Toxic Relationships. And I'm hoping to be able to address some of the issues around toxic relationships, some of the things that you may be experiencing in reality. And we're going to be looking at these, and hopefully, I'm going to be able to give you a little bit of advice on things that go wrong and what you can do to put those things right. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing how to help fix your relationship. No magic wand here. Going to give you some pointers, going to tell you some of the things about why they go wrong. And I'm going to talk about the four most common factors in a relationship which cause problems, and ultimately they lead to the failure of that relationship. Okay, so when we think about relationships, statistics show that 45% of people in marriages are very unhappy. So that's at the top end of the dissatisfaction scale. And 72% of unmarried couples are unhappy with their relationship. So when you average that out, that means that for every two people that you meet, one of them is in a relationship which they are unhappy and dissatisfied. 50% of the people are not in relationships that they expect them to be or how they would hope they would be. So if you're one of these people, that means that you're not by yourself, but that fact alone will not actually make you feel any better. So if you're watching this video, then I guess you're either in an unhappy or a dissatisfied relationship yourself, or that you know someone who is. So I'm running some free strategy calls to help you and your partner to fix your relationship, and I'm going to give you details of how to look at those at the end of this video. So, toxic relationships. Kind of bantered around a lot, toxic relationships. People are in toxic relationships, but what do we mean when we refer to toxic relationships? Well, we all view relationships very differently, and we all have different expectations and opinions of what healthy relationships are and what they look like. But we measure the success of relationships by the way that relationships make us feel. And if something is toxic, a relationship, then it feels like it's killing us slowly. And you are slowly dying inside, like you've drunk poison, and it's destroying you from the inside out. So broadly speaking, toxic relationships are those that are causing your life to be miserable and detrimental to your emotional and physical health. So if you're in a toxic relationship, that means you will begin to lose your confidence in yourself. You'll find that very often you have low moods a lot of the time. You will often be short-tempered. You will snap easy. You find it more difficult to have patience with other people and in situations. And actually, you want to socialize less as well. You don't feel the need to connect with other human beings because you start to centralize your own feelings and look inwardly, and that makes you less sociable. So all of these things, they'll spill over into your work, into other areas of your life. But the biggest effect of a toxic relationship is usually on your confidence and your self-esteem. And the difficulty is when your relationship isn't healthy, it's very difficult to see a way forward. And so you're then trapped in these negative emotions, which magnify other negative emotions, such as anger and resentment, which leads to bitterness. And so you kind of find yourself trapped in this negativity within the relationship. So there's been a study going on in the United States of America for over 20 years now. The Gottman Institute ran a study that produces really solid evidence based on empirical findings, scientifically proven, which identify behaviors within relationships, and they can predict whether or not a couple will separate and it's 94% accurate. Well, that's pretty good. 94% accuracy based on these findings of studying couples for 20 years. So we know that there's a ratio of we need to have positivity and negativity within a relationship. And a good relationship works well when you have 5 parts positive and 1 part negative. So for every negative that you have or you input into a relationship, there needs to be a healthy balance of 5 positive to keep that relationship healthy. And positive things would be things like being nice to each other, showing an interest in their lives, in what they're doing, showing kindness and being affectionate, and actually listening to them. So you get the picture there. It's about being involved in the relationship. Those are positives. And the negative stuff would be hostility, criticism, being angry, hurting feelings, and ignoring their needs. Really, those are kind of the negative things that are in relationships that make you feel negative. So there's an uneven balance of the need for more positivity, and that's because negativity is a more powerful emotion. Once you experience negativity and it's damaged you, it inflicts damage, whereas positivity takes much longer to heal the damage and to bring closer to the hurt. So you need a lot more positivity to actually make up for that negativity, and that's the way that the brain functions. Now, if you're in a relationship and that relationship is going to break down and going to split up, what's happened there is that the ratio of negativity and positivity is about 1 to 1. It's actually 0.8 to 1. So you've actually got slightly more positivity than negativity, but only slightly. So about 1 to 1. That's going to end in divorce and separation. And these are the findings from the research from the Gottman Institute. So for a relationship to feel right, it has to have affection. You have to have a humor. You have to give attention to each other, and you have to have empathy and intimacy. So you might think that would be a good idea to work on the negative things in the relationship and try and reduce those. Well, it turns out that negativity in the relationship is actually very, very useful. You could say, well, why is negativity useful? Well, negativity and hurt feelings highlight the things that aren't working in your relationship. If you hurt someone's feelings, then you've learned something about that person. And if you can communicate that, then you've got something to work on to make the relationship better. So negativity within a relationship is great if you can understand it and see it as a positive and work on the reason why that negativity has caused you to feel that way. And relationships work in a way that sometimes you feel closer to each other and sometimes there's more of a distance between you, and you will vary in that connection of feeling close or distance. So that means that you have to work at the relationship to keep that closeness, and that's romance and affection, and that keeps the relationship alive. But what I want to tell you about is the top 4 things which affect the relationship in a really big way. The top one is criticism. And criticism is a way of suggesting that your partner's personality is faulty. When you criticize your partner, what you are saying is you are faulty. You are not good at something, you don't do things right, and you criticize, and that's how it makes them feel. We take the problem that's in front of us, we throw that at our partner so they absorb that, the way that we're feeling and all the issues within that problem, and we throw it to them so it lands on them, they take that load, and it makes them feel that they're at fault, that criticism. And that creates negativity, it creates low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and not good emotions at all. But of course, you're wrong for passing that criticism on because you weren't taking any responsibility for the relationship. So All you're doing by criticizing your partner is driving a wedge between you both and creating a gap. What's the answer? Stop criticizing your partner. Stop it. Don't do it. Okay, so second one. What can happen in relationships is people become very, very defensive, and defensiveness is the second um, thing, if you like, which helps deteriorate, helps relationships to deteriorate really, really quickly. So out of criticism can come defensiveness, and what that usually means is meeting a complaint with a counter complaint. So you're having a disagreement about somebody, they will say to you, you never do that when you should do it, you never do it properly, I'm sick and tired of this. And your response is, well, yeah, but you do this and you don't do that. And then it becomes into a pointless argument of criticism because you're defending the fact that you're being attacked with a counter attack. So that's defensiveness. Two people coming together to tell each other how rubbish they are so that the emphasis is taken off themselves and their faults. And that's a counter complaint. Or the other thing that we can do is whine apologetically. Oh, well, I'm so sorry. I'll try and make things better. That's defensiveness. And that's another big factor as to why relationships break down really quickly. And the answer to defensiveness is to accept responsibility in some small part that you are responsible for that problem. So, for example, if your partner says, you know, I've been talking to you over dinner and you've completely ignored me, you've not listened to a word I'm saying, the defensive reaction, well, I've had a busy day and I had a terrible this, then, the other, and it's not been good for me either. Okay. However, the best thing to do is to take responsibility for that. Your partner has voiced a concern that you are not paying attention to. The simple answer is to say, you know, you're right. I'm sorry. I haven't been paying attention. I've been like this all day at work. I've been stressed. The drive home was terrible. But you're right. And take responsibility for that and say, I'm sorry. Tell me again. I'm listening. Okay. What that does is it stops the defensiveness, the falling out, the argument, and it brings the two of you together to be able to communicate in a way that is positive, that you can identify each other's faults and be able to move forward through those faults in the hope that you can recognize them in the future. Okay. So you say, your partner might say to you, well, you're an idiot. What a bloody idiot you are. And when somebody says that, so somebody says, you're an idiot, what you kind of want them to say is, well, I'm really glad you pointed that out. You're totally right. I am an idiot. Why don't we go out for a drink and discuss how much of an idiot I am and really tear me apart? Give me all the reasons that I'm an idiot. That's what you kind of are expecting from your partner, to agree with you and for them to agree that they're an idiot so that you can destroy them. Well, obviously that isn't going to work at any level. So they don't respond that way at all. What they end up doing is getting hurt and resentful, and that is another large factor to separation and divorce. The fact that we blame and criticize people without taking responsibility for the relationship ourselves. So communication, affection, and respect. How do we cultivate that? Well, you start to learn to stop scanning your environment and looking around for things to criticize and to put down. Because that, what you're doing by doing that is you're trying to make yourself feel more superior, that you can put other people down so you can look down on them to criticize them. And you stop doing that and you start to look around in the relationship, in the home, in the family, for things that you can appreciate, that you can give praise for, and you can be thankful for. Little things, just to say thank you, just to appreciate the fact that your partner has done something. and stop the criticism and focus on the little things that make them feel good. And this is important not just in your personal relationship with your partner, but with family and friends, and in particularly children, because that's how they're going to develop and that's how they're going to learn. So the next factor that is hugely detrimental and that will really contribute massively to destroying your relationship is what is called stonewalling. And this is an emotional withdrawal from conflict. So when you're listening to your partner, let's say you give off lots of signals. So you're in good communication, you give off lots of signals, you have good eye contact, you have open body language, and you may, listen to what they say. You may and make it clear that you're communicating, and all that comes through you in good body language, and it's clear that you are communicating well by the attention that you're giving and by your body language and sounds. Well, a stonewaller doesn't do that. What a stonewaller will do when you're trying to communicate with them is they'll usually fold their arms and they'll look away and they'll not give you good eye contact, and they'll clearly try and detach from the relationship, from what you're saying. They'll say absolutely quiet with no facial movements, maybe an occasional glance towards you just to see if you're still chirping on, and hopefully that you're going to shut up. And what that causes to happen is that the speaker doesn't feel that he or she is getting through. So they then raise their game and they try and force a communication by raising the voice or saying things like, "Don't you look away from me," trying to bring them back into the zone. And they will do that forcibly in some way or another. Of course, it won't work, because all it'll do is it'll cause the stonewaller to deepen their resilience and put the defences up even more. So you're going to magnify and create a bigger problem by trying to rectify that situation forcefully. So these four factors are the most significant factors to contribute to the breakdown of relationship. That's what the research shows. It's accurate to about 94% of the time. And if you've got those significant factors in your relationship and you recognize some of those, then you need to understand that those factors are contributing to the way that you feel about your partner, about yourself, but also breaking your relationship down and creating negativities. So if you really want to make a big difference in your relationship, then for the next 2 weeks, stop criticizing, start listening, and start asking open-ended questions instead of making statements. And with any relationship, you have to stop doing the bad things, consciously stop doing them and focus on not doing them. And there has to be a determination and a commitment for both parties to fix things. You never fix things if you don't want them fixed. If you're determined that things aren't fixable, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to get. Get on with it. Get on with your life. You're not going to fix it. Make some decisions and move on. But if you can make a start with some little things, and that you do want to move in the right direction to improve your relationship, and you're encouraging your partner to become your friend as well as your partner, and you can challenge these 4 areas of your life and begin to move on with them in small incremental steps, bit by bit, day by day, then you're healing your relationship, and you're going to find that things start falling into place to make it work better for you. So if you think that some of these things, they resonate true with you, and you feel that it's time to do something substantial or something concrete to stop the rot in your relationship, if you feel it's time then to start your life in a way that's meaningful to put your relationship right, and you're determined to do that, then drop into my Facebook page, click on the banner. That will take you through to some details on how to book a strategy call with me, and I'll be happy to go through some details with you and listen to you and try and work a way forward for you. Life isn't easy, relationships aren't easy, but you're going to settle for what you put into it. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you can get something out of this relationship video. I hope you can take on the negatives and begin to look at those and change those areas of your life that need changing to make it better. And I hope relationships can get better for you and you can move into a better life with your partner, with the life that you want to be. It is achievable. You just have to put that work in.